stop with any judgment and, oh my God, she's so shallow thoughts, because I know at least half of you in here have your own plan B. That person you could definitely spend the rest of your life with, provided that your plan A never shows up, or disappears, or ends up being a plan A-hole. It's the plan B of your future. In case you don't find your one true love, at least you get to spend the rest of your life with somebody that you love, or at least like, or comfortable around, or even can probably tolerate. And then you don't have to envision a future alone. My plan B was my best friend, Yosef. Yosef is this tall Egyptian dude with a semi-large afro who always wears Minnesota Timberwolves t-shirts and who walks like he's on his way to the beach. I can't tell you exactly how we met, just that it was in high school, but I know when we got tight. It was sophomore year in college. A bunch of us had been planning this big backpacking trip through Europe, but when it came time to buy the tickets, everybody bailed except for Yosef and me. We were undeterred by the lameness of our friends though, so the two of us went anyway. Now, by the end of a backpacking trip, you either loathe your companions or you become besties with them, which is exactly what happened with Yosef and me. Drunk conversations in London pubs, high conversations in the cafes in Amsterdam, sleepy conversations on the overnight trains. By the end of our 6-week journey, Yosef became much more than just a pal from high school. I won tickets on a radio show for an all-expense-paid trip to the Bridge benefit concert in San Francisco. Yes, people actually win those things, and naturally, I took Yosef. Now, this moment probably ranks in my top 10 moments ever. Sitting in an open amphitheater on a perfect 60-degree Northern California night, listening to Eddie Vedder join Neil Young on Harvest Moon. I got that absolutely unbelievably happy feeling where your heart is like taking up your whole chest and you get this like fizziness in your nose and you could just burst into tears at any moment out of pure joy if you're one of those happy and sad criers, and your mind just stops to take a picture of everything. It was just like that, and it was amazing. Yeah, I get it. I see your looks. I understand. I mean, this sounds weird, drinking wine under the stars, going on vacation together. You're all wondering why he wasn't my plan A, right? Well, I don't know. It just wasn't like that. I mean, he didn't give me butterflies, and I didn't want to jump his bones when I looked at him or spend a whole Sunday in bed with him, and I never wanted to cuddle into that awesome spot between the shoulder and the neck. I don't know. He was just Yosef. So he was the perfect plan B. The other day, I was telling this story to my friend Bobby, this tattooed, goatee guy who's so alpha, he can't even pretend to understand the beta side of things, as we watched a Twins game in a dingy bar. At one point, he turned away from the game, took a sip of his beer, and said, "Molly, hold on a second." "What?" He stroked his goatee, confused. "Are you trying to tell me that all of those times you two were alone, like lying on docks, looking at stars, drinking wine, all those times this dude never made one move on you?" "No, we were friends," and he was a total gentleman. He shook his head hard. "No way, that's impossible. I don't know a single guy who wouldn't have at least made a move." Well, I guess the idea came up once. I knew it. He slammed his hand on the bar with each word. "How?" "Well, we were driving from Madison to Minneapolis a couple years ago, listening to Wilco and chatting when he looked at me and said, 'Have you ever thought about us dating?'" Bobby, I swear I got this weird knot in my stomach and my mind instantly fast-forwarded through a relationship, a really ugly breakup, and seeing each other only at weddings and reunions, and so I said, "Yeah, but I don't know, I'd be devastated if anything happened to our friendship." And he said, "Yeah, I guess you're right." That was it. That was him trying. No, it wasn't. He'd just been on a couple dates with this really awesome girl. Well, I don't care how awesome she was. That was his last-ditch attempt to see if there was a chance with you. Really? Bobby may have gotten the wheels turning, but before they could make a full rotation, they totally came to a halt. Because when I think about it, once I met this girl, it was obvious that we were never meant to be. She was so clearly made for him. After they'd been on 4 dates, he called me. "Can you please come out with us tonight? I need you to meet her." So over darts and pitchers of Grainbelt Premium in the diviest of Minneapolis bars, I got to know his future wife, this soft-spoken, dry-humored girl who was seriously kicking my ass at darts. And you know what? I really liked her. Even though they were together for 3 years, the phone call still came out of nowhere. Guess what? I proposed and Andrea said yes. I gasped and screamed and yelled and asked a million questions. He asked me to read at his wedding, and I said yes, as long as I didn't have to read that Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind thing, because I've heard it at 27 of the 29 weddings that I've been to, and frankly, if I have to hear it again, I might gap. Sorry, God. A little less than a year later, I was handing my ticket to the Delta agent, boarding a plane to go home for my best friend's wedding. The tears started mid-flight. I was staring at the clouds below and thinking, oh my God. Joseph is getting married, and they just started pouring down my face. In the car, on the way to help him with the place cards, on the way home from picking up my dress, to and from the rehearsal dinner, every time I thought about Joseph getting married, I started to bawl. All right, time out. I know you're all expecting this tale to turn into something where I realized I was truly in love with him and decided to totally sabotage the wedding by spreading rumors and then cornering him and saying something like, choose me, no, marry me, then stealing a van to try and get them back together after I ultimately realized how selfish I'd been. But no, I did not pull a Julia Roberts in my best friend's wedding. And thank God, because that's just bad behavior. It was, well, I don't know, I guess. Well, would we ever go on a trip, just the two of us again? Would we ever have one of our deep talks over a bottle of wine or go dancing until 5 in the morning? He could never be the guy I took when I won tickets for a concert, and I wouldn't be the first person he called when he found out where he was doing his residency. It wasn't the same when my girlfriends got married. Of course, relationships with freshly married friends always change a little bit, but now that my best guy friend was getting hitched, a major change was inevitable. And hello, my plan B was officially off the market. I saw myself at 80, surrounded by cats, eating ice cream on the couch, never having lived with anyone, never having had kids, going through the next 100 painful breakups without the cushion of Joseph there to make it all more bearable. I got my tears under control on the way to the wedding, as I'd spent a lot of time on my eye makeup. I went to say hi to Andrea as she was getting ready. She turned away from the mirror where she was straightening her veil. Have you seen him? How's he doing? I thought about how I'd hung out with Joseph a few minutes earlier, and the kid was all smiles. He was this enormous ball of excitement and couldn't stop hugging me and was skipping from the car to the bathroom to the church. He's bouncing off the walls, I said. I've never seen him so excited. She teared up, then quickly started fanning her eyes to preserve her mascara. Oh my God, he is? Really? Now that was a plan A reaction, and my best friend was going to be with his plan A. He found her, and that's what we all want for our besties, right? All this plan B stuff seems so ridiculous, because how could I have wanted anything less than a plan A for my best friend? I wouldn't want him to end up with me, even if we were both old and lonely, because, well, I would never tear up after hearing something like that about him. He just isn't and will never be that person to me. I sat in the second row, holding my reading, not the Corinthian stuff, thanks very much. And as I watched him, I knew our relationship was just headed to the next phase, the one that involves wives and husbands and kids and careers and settling down, which is probably the most exciting thing to happen to our friendship. To take our relationship through the different phases of life is going to be an adventure, and he is my clear-cut, no doubt about it, plan A for that. So just as that dun-dun-dun began, Joseph looked right over at me, smiled, and winked. Then he looked towards the entrance of the church as the doors opened, and Andrea started walking down the aisle. He stood up straighter, this enormous smile spread across his face, and I saw tears shining in his eyes. And I got that absolutely unbelievably happy feeling where my heart is taking up my whole chest, and I got that fizziness in my nose, and I could have burst into tears at any moment out of pure joy, because I'm totally one of those happy and sad criers, and my mind just stopped to take a picture of everything. Thank you.